For those who don't know, who is Thelma Byers-Bailey?
I'm a native Charlottean. Wasn't born in Charlotte, but my family moved here when I was in diapers. This is the only place I ever knew about growing up and living here. Grew up in Lincoln Heights, and at the time, the four saints, we call them St. Luke, St. Mark, St. John, St. Paul. That was my domain. I think I thought I was the only child in the neighborhood, and that everybody in the neighborhood loved me and was my best friend. So I say that Lincoln Heights, I'm the child that Lincoln Heights I grew up there, and they reared me, the whole community.
What made you want to become a school board member?
The short answer is I got mad. The school, at the time, the economy had tanked. The school board was closing schools in order to be able to operate the schools that they had the money to operate. But they closed most of the schools in my community. And specifically the one in Lincoln Heights. And I was president of the neighborhood association at the time, and we had worked with the school, and we were gonna make sure that school turned around. And we went to the neighborhood meetings, and we kept saying, you know, don't close our school. You can use it for, it's a beautiful facility. It was one of the newer facilities we had. It just made no sense to us that they closed, and they closed it anyway. And I think my last speech, I said, don't think I'm going to go slowly into the night. Because I ran for school board because of that, because I felt they needed help making better decisions. Now, I don't know if I had been there, but I believe the decisions would have been different.
And then you won.
And I won, 70% that year.
What did it mean to you to become a school board member? What did that mean to you?
It means roll up your sleeves and get to work. I wasn't enamored with the prestige or the accolades or anything. I was pleased that the community had listened to my story and listened to my goals and what I wanted. And what I really wanted was for the students to get the excellent education that I had gotten when I was in the schools. I had gone to neighborhood schools my entire life, and I got an excellent education. It prepared me for everything that I have accomplished in my life. And I wanted that for other students, because I wasn't the only one that accomplished that in my school. My class, all of us, there were about 200 of us, and the classes before us and the classes after us, we all were stellar students. There was no reason for my classmates to, you know, have any qualms about whether or not they had been prepared for life, as I was.
And the longest serving school board member?
The longest serving, I have not looked into the history of CMS. I think years and years ago, there may have been school board members that have served longer. But I didn't bother it wasn't a record that I was competing for, so it wasn't important to me to go back and do the research to see if anybody else had served longer than I did.
12 years.
12 years.
What are you most proud of?
Goodness, I'm most proud of the SOFG that our students are achieving with the goals and guardrails that we have put in place as a board. I got that from my board chair and I were the first members of the first cohort of the Great City Schools putting this student outcomes focused governance plan for school board members. The mantra was, if the adults are not focused on, the kids are going to only succeed if the board members are focused on the children, not on the administration, not on the money, and not on the buildings. Our first and sole priority should be what the children are succeeding. And we brought that, after the first class, we brought that back to school, to Charlotte-Mecklenburg. And the board said, oh yes, that's exactly what we've been looking for. And we went off and running with it.
What have been some of the biggest challenges you've faced?
Some of the biggest challenges I faced were people that, because I'm from District 2, I wanted everything that everybody else had in District 2, but I wanted it to be brand new. So the very first thing I did was to say West Charlotte was on the next bond for patchwork stuff. And I walked the entire campus and I looked at all the buildings, and out of I think we must have had A through P, and I would only find 3 buildings that were worth saving. And I looked out in the fields, and we had lots of room, dirt that we weren't even using. And I said, don't patchwork my high school. Give us a new one. You just patchwork, you're just putting new money after bad. And if you take that same money and build us some brand new schools, the kids will be so excited to go to school that they will blossom and they will soar. And that's exactly what happened.
So basically it's safe to say a lot of the schools were run down, not in good shape in your district.
Yeah. After I got West Charlotte on, then I tacked on Bruns at the very end of the bond. It wasn't even supposed to be on the bond. It wasn't even the next school in line to be on the bond. But the ceiling was falling in. We would go meetings down there and the ceiling would hit us. The ceiling hit us at West Charlotte too. But it would rain and you'd sit there. They had buckets for water on the floor because the rain was so bad. The heating system was atrocious. It was either too hot or too cold. It was called a two pipe system or something. It was just not acceptable.
So it's safe to say many of the schools didn't have the resources that maybe other schools. And I don't know whether other people were focused on District 2. I know I was focused on District 2. And I was looking at the buildings in District 2. And I wasn't liking what I was finding. And can you talk about the schools so you were able to help get schools, brand new schools? Can you tell us about a few of those schools and maybe how many, if you can recall off the top of your head?
Well, I definitely got West Charlotte. I definitely got Bruns. Those were the first 2. And I also got Bruns taken back from a K-8 to a K-5. That was also important to me. I kept saying we got to open Lincoln Heights. That was the last school I got reopened. The other school that I was really focused on was Second Ward, because when I was in high school, Second Ward was the rival for West Charlotte. I was West Charlotte, and in the Queen City Classic for us was Second Ward versus West Charlotte. So when they closed Second Ward, but there was a promise that we're going to give you a new Second Ward. And that was a promise that was made and never kept. And I said, I'm going to stay here till we get another Second Ward. And it took me 3 terms, but we are opening up a new Second Ward. And it won't be the neighborhood school that we envisioned when I was in school, but it is Second Ward. It's on the Second Ward grounds. And that's the last focused building that I worked on. The other one is J.T. Williams. Because I love Montessori, I think it's an awesome program. I wanted that program to have all the room that it needed, and moving it from J.T. Williams down to Marie G. Davis. They have they're working on completing that facility now. When they open that back up as a Montessori high school, and we're the only high school Montessori in the state, and that's a public school, that's going to be a facility that I will be able to pat myself on the back about.
How does that make you feel, just thinking about turning a lot of these schools around and being a major part of that?
I'm grateful that I was able to, I'm grateful that the school board members listened to what I had to say, because my vote alone would not have done it. You don't get anything done if you don't have a quorum. 5 votes, or forget it. But I learned how to share my visions with other people and get them on board with me.
And after 12 years, you're not seeking re-election.
That's right.
Why?
I've accomplished so much.
I say I accomplished it. I did it because I was here, and my influence, my voice, I shared with the other members, and they listened. And you know, I was in leadership for a couple of years, and then I stepped back from that because what I realized was I don't have to have the seat and the title to lead. I lead every day, every meeting. When I say something, people turn around and listen. And I do it gently. I'm not argumentative, and I'm not banging on the table, but I share my vision and what I feel and what I see, and it's persuasive.
Can we talk about some of the challenges? I mean, I've had a chance to sit in a lot of the school board meetings, and it sounds like the district is making a lot of gains. A lot of schools are doing much better. There's also challenges, and there's schools that are still failing. What steps does the district need to take to get those failing schools back on track?
We have put in place, you know, we can't change everything overnight. CMS is, you don't turn a big ship and it like the turn of a bicycle wheel. We have put in place what it's going to take to make all of our schools A+ schools. CMS will have A+ schools throughout the district. But you can't change them all at the same time. You train your leadership, you train your school principals, and our superintendent has an excellent plan which she has put in place to get the staff trained so that they can put in place the tools that the board has given, the goals that the board has given them, so that they can produce the results. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing schools jumping, you know, jumping from D to B, jumping from F to C, you know, and the others, you know, we have to train the principals and the staff, the teachers, with the skill set and the infrastructure, so that they know how to help the students. And every time we get new people in, we have to train them. Well, they're not going to be stellar the first time out the gate. Nobody goes from I'm a brand newbie to I'm going to, you know, I'm a star person. That's experience. But we're growing them. We're growing our staff. We are not losing as many staff as we used to lose, because we're also making a way for them to be able to live in Charlotte in homes that they can afford on the salary that is inadequate but sufficient with the assistance of our in-home programs, so that they can stay here. So we're not losing we used to, you know, it used to be a revolving door. The door is not revolving anymore. We get new ones in and we keep them.
What do you hope the next person who wins for District 2, what do you hope they will accomplish?
Well, because I decided to not seek re-election, I also decided to look around and see who I felt could succeed me. Not because she's going to do what I did, not because she has the same visions for CMS that I had, but I chose to mentor someone to run for my seat, and I have worked with her. I'd worked with her for years. She was working with me when I was a school board member, the very first term that I ran. She was where I was working with her in the community, because the community really is the backbone for these students. Our students will succeed when we have the three-legged stool that it all took all of us to succeed. We need the schools, we need the church, and we need the home. When we get all three of us singing from the same hymn book, our students will be successful. And her focus is getting the home back into the school, so that so that the families know how to help the students when they're at home. When teachers know how to help the students when they're in school. And the church is also reaching in and doing after school and before school and summer school. so that everybody is focused on, that's the community I grew up in. Everybody was focused on the children. And that's why my classmates and I were successful. That's what's going to help.
Last few questions. The school that we're at now, Miss Wilson, went from, this school went from a D to a B. And this is in your district.
Yes, it is.
What do you think about that?
I'm excited. I think she is awesome, and she is, she is our principal of the year, and we are over the moon about her chances of being the state's principal of the year. She has done an excellent job, and I had talked to some of her staff about a year or so ago. I was at a conference here locally, and a couple of her teachers were presenting on what they were doing with the kindergarten, and they tapped me on and said, "Come to our session. We want you to hear what we're saying." They had little kindergartners that came into preschool that came in knowing nothing. At the end of the year, they could read in preschool. They were really doing it, working on it way back then. So the fact that she's principal of the year, I'm not surprised at all, because her staff was as excited. Every level in every class, they were excited about getting those kids started from where they are, no matter how back, far back they were, but growing them. And the kids are like sponges. If they know that you care, they will sit there and just gobble up whatever it is you're teaching.
Are there any final thoughts, any closing remarks?
I know there are some who are surprised or maybe don't understand why I felt necessary to not just decide not to run, but to mentor someone else to take my place. But I think that's part of leadership. If you're going to lead, then you also need to look to others behind that you have worked with who exhibit the qualities you feel that are necessary, and then mentor them and bring them along and work with them in what they're doing, let them help you in what you're doing, so that when you say they're ready to run, they're prepared.
If you could leave one final thought to wrap up your 12 years, what would your final thought be?
I think my dad is proud. My dad, Walter G. Byers, was my dad, and he was a principal of a school here in District 2 for almost 25 years. The community chose to name the school after him. But I think both of my parents are proud of me, of what I have accomplished.